What's going on, guys? This is John back again with another video. Today's video is going to be more for intermediate to advanced players. I am going to be showing you guys how to expand your playing. Okay, so if you're tired of playing just the regular old triads and you feel like you're not going anywhere with those, what I'm going to do in this video is show you some basic things that you can do to make yourself sound at a completely other level. Okay, I like to think smarter and not harder about music. Okay, so I'm going to assume that there are some fundamental things that you already know. I'm going to assume that you already know chords. I'm going to assume that you already know maybe even some extended chords like seventh chords, your scales, all that stuff. We're not going to talk about that in this video. Again, this video is for intermediate to advanced. So if you guys still want to stick around, then go ahead. Maybe you might learn something from it, but I'm going to be moving pretty quickly without explaining any of the foundations of music in this video. Okay, so first thing that I like to do is just look for smaller chords in my bigger chords. Okay, and when I do that, I'm able to think about my chord as a whole, not as just one big monstrosity, but more as I'm just playing two different chords at the same time. Okay, so one trick that you can do is, let's take this D triad. If you take the seventh scale degree, which in this case 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, this C sharp, this is a D major 7 right now, but if you take this C sharp and play a minor 7 of this chord, here's what you get. You get C minor 7. Okay, so now if I take this C minor 7 and play it with this D chord in the bass, here's the chord that you get. You get a D major 13 with a sharp 11. Okay, now right off the bat, if I were to just write that chord out for you guys, some of you might not be able to figure that out. I'm going to do videos in the future on how you can actually sound these chords out, and it's not really that difficult to read them. But when you're playing, you don't want to be thinking about a D major 7 or a D major 13 with a sharp 11. Okay, you don't want to think about all that. You just want to think about what sound do I want. Okay, so the easiest way for me to get that is to think about it as two separate chords. And even at that level, I've gotten to such a point where I have muscle memory that I don't even think about it in that way. But if you're just starting to learn this concept, think about it in two different chords. Don't think about it as one big chord. Think about it as two different chords. I have two small chords here, a D minor and a C minor, a C sharp minor. In this case, I'm playing a C sharp minor 7, but you can even get the same results just using a regular triad. And then you just get a D major 9 with a sharp 11. Okay, so that's one thing that you can do. And if you take a look at this big chord, I can actually count or show you different chords within this one chord. So if you take a look at this part, this is a D. This part is an F sharp minor. This part is an A chord. This part is just a C sharp minor. And this part is just an E. So we've got 5 chords within this one chord. That's what I mean when I say you want to try to find chords within chords, because then it just makes it a lot simpler for you to understand the concept of how these chords work. And it also gives you a hint as to what chords would sound well together. So I actually had a D, A, and an E in that chord. So then tip number 2, finding chords within chords can help you figure out different chord progressions that you know that chords are going to work together. Doing this will help you build chord progressions with chords that actually fit what you're trying to do. So like I said, I had a D, an A, and an E. So what I could do is play a D major chord, an A major chord, to an E chord. Okay, so you can come up with something really nice. Now, a lot of what I'm doing is actually just calling upon my musical vocabulary and different types of music that I've listened to, where I've grabbed maybe different rhythms or different motifs or ideas, and I'm incorporating that in when I'm improvising. It seems more complicated than it actually is. Okay, some of the concepts that I'm using here, like with this first chord, so I have a basic D major 7. One thing that you can do to make it sound warmer is to add the ninth, which is right here in the middle. Okay, and I do that on most of my chords. So get rid of the 7. Let's just look at a basic triad so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm basically taking my thumb on my right hand and I'm thumbing both of those notes at the same time. You can do the same thing with an A chord. You can do the same thing with an E chord. I'm not playing it with my thumb, but I'm playing this extra note here. So here's the E triad, there's the 9th. So just using basic chords like that, and that's another thing, taking the 3rd of your chord and moving it around, moving it to the 4th and the 2nd, you get that suspended 2 and a suspended 4 chord. Okay, using that in conjunction with your major 7th, okay, so these are all just little tips and things that you can play around with right now because it doesn't require you to have to learn anything else new. You're already using chords and concepts that you're already aware with. You know what your scale degrees are because you know your scales, hopefully, if you're watching this video, and you're already using chords that you already know how to play. We're talking triads here. I'm not talking about, you know, stuff like, you know, this. I'm not talking about any of that stuff. I'm just talking about basic chords. Okay, just taking those basic chords and just separating them. Separate them in your mind first, and then you'll be able to see the separation on the keyboard of these chords. Okay, and then you can start coming up with chord progressions that you probably never would have figured out before. So that's going to be it for this video. If it was helpful to you guys, go on ahead and like, share, and comment down below if you would want to see more videos like this where I'm giving you more quick tips on things that you can just take to your keyboard right now and get playing right now. But that's it for this video. You guys have a good one.